This is called the show. So if you didn't know, this is called the show. This is called the show.
Yes, people, and we are here for the interview part of the show. And this week's guest, well, it's been a long time coming. We've been trying to plan it for quite a while, and we've managed to finally do it. And it's going to be pretty much the last episode of the year before the Christmas special. And we have got the incredible, amazing Evrah Rose on the show for this week's episode. And Evrah Rose, how you doing? And how are you? Welcome.
Good. It's good to finally be here.
Yeah, amazing. We made it happen.
It's only taken about 9 months, I think, since the start of our show, I think.
Honestly, what a joke. But you know what? We're finally here and it's going to be good.
Yes, yeah. That's it. Yeah, how we normally start off the show, really, for those people who don't know who you are, not familiar with, obviously, your work. Just please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what you do, where you're from, all that jazz. And we'll just go from there.
Oh, Jesus, where do I start? So I'm Evrah Rose. I'm from the mighty Wrexham, originally from Kaya Park over there. We're big up the Kaya. I'm a poet by trade, spoken words. So I've been doing that since I was a kid, essentially, just to, I guess, express all the negativity that was going on in my life at the time. And then that slowly kind of delved into hip hop because I was influenced quite a bit by hip hop. And yeah, so now I run workshops, perform around the UK. I'm an author, make music. I just do whatever I feel like on whatever day, to be honest.
Awesome. And you said obviously it started off mainly with poetry and stuff. So when did that all start?
Well, I must have been about 8 or 9 years old, and I was just going through loads of awful stuff. Like, I won't delve too much into it. And I didn't really know, as an autistic, how to express myself, I guess. But I really clung on to rhyme and repetition for reasons unknown to myself. It just really grasped me. And then I heard people like Tupac and Eminem, for instance. So I kind of combined all that, and I used to, I guess, rework the way that they would do their songs, but write my own lyrics. And it just escalated from there. I just continued to do it in my teens, delved into the spoken word. I didn't actually realise I was doing spoken word until my 20s when I was living in Bristol. And somebody showed me some spoken word, and I was like, oh my God, that's literally what I do, like at home as my hobby. And they were like, oh, that's spoken word. And voila, here we are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then obviously, you know, you've dropped an album recently as well, link in bio. Amazing piece of work. Is that your first studio album, is it? Or
I call it my first, but it's my second. So the first one I did was called Kind Regards, but it wasn't necessarily an album for the public or anybody. It was a case of, after being so poorly and having strokes and things, to prove to myself that I could still create. And I used it as a tool to recovery, essentially. And then what was weird about that album is halfway through it, I ended up in hospital. It's like paralysed, fed through a tube and everything.
Wow.
I was like, do you know what I mean? So the first thing I did when I got out of hospital, I was like, right, I've got to go back to the studio. And I was working with somebody called Paul at the time, who was just amazing because I could only push myself so far. And then I'd have like neurological episodes where I couldn't speak, walk or move.
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that.
In the studio, and then I'd have to be carried out essentially by my ex.
Yeah.
So that album was, essentially just to prove to myself. And I just dropped it on streamers and people seem to like it. So I don't class it as my first album, but I guess it kind of is.
Yeah. And obviously you do some singing and stuff as well, which again, amazing. When did you get into that, and how did you know you had such an incredible voice? Because I was blown away, to be honest. And I'm very sorry, I wasn't familiar with a lot of your previous stuff before. I'd heard, I think, something that Dean showed me that I think you guys were doing a collaboration on. That's the first time I actually heard you, but that was on a rapping flex more. And then when I heard your voice, I was like, oh my God, this artist's incredible. Like, she can sing, she can rap, spoken word. I was like, boom. And that's when I was just like, I was blown away. So when did you realise that you were this awesome?
Honestly, I'm so bad when it comes to my singing. I don't like doing that. I'm really nervous. I'm not confident.
Really? Oh my gosh. Okay, that's so surprising to hear.
Oh God, I hate it. So it wasn't until I was about I guess about 19 that my family found out I could sing. I just didn't sing in front of anybody at all. And then I
Yeah.
saw something pop up about a band, and I was like, oh, I'll just audition secretly. And then I got in, and I was like, oh no, like I didn't really.
Oh no.
Oh
I think
no,
that's
I'm
gotta be-
successful.
Well, it was almost like that TikTok challenge. Oh, is there another way? Can I earn money a different way? And then I did a bunch of gigs and I loved it. And then I moved away and things like that and kind of just left it alone. And then when I was doing the whole spoken word rap thing back in 2017, I was like, oh, do you know what? I'll do the hook, because I write acoustic songs personally at home and play the guitar and things. Don't necessarily like to sing. And then I was like, oh, it sounds all right. And then you can hear where from my very beginning of the journey to Linkin Bow, I guess, where I've developed my confidence to sing, because I'd get into a studio like, you know, it's just, I'm still like that now. I don't really sing that much in front of people. Like, I really have to be pushed to do it.
Well, man, it was absolutely incredible. I really, really, I loved the tone that you have as well. I mean, where'd you get your influences from? Because I was speaking to my wife today, and another time when I played her some of your songs, and I was like, I can't put my finger on it where I'm getting the influences from. You don't sound like anybody for sure, but at the same time, I can hear little influences from it. I just can't put my finger on it. So hopefully, by you telling me who it is, or maybe there's more than one person you're influenced by, it would basically let me sleep at night. Basically.
I guess I've got a mix of influences, I guess. So like Amy Lee's one of them of Evanescence, but then you've got
Yeah.
Josh Stone, Etta
Josh
James.
Stone. That's it. Josh
So it's-
Stone. There you go. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't remember her name, man. Yeah, definitely hear some of that in there. Anyway, sorry. Carry on. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so those are generally my biggest influences, like Etta James, Aretha Franklin, Pink, Josh Stone,
Yeah.
Amy Lee, like that. I think it very much for me depends on the type of track as well. So some songs require like a bigger voice, so you can hear like the other kind of like rock influences in my voice.
Yeah.
And then when I'm soulful, you can probably hear like the Pink and the Joss Stone in there. So it very much depends. And I like singing opera at home, but I'd never do that in public. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just like, don't.
I mean, do you find it quite daunting when you go out and perform and stuff? Do you have to kind of get yourself in a certain headspace, but then once you're on there, you're like, this is where I belong? Or are you kind of, you just get on there and you just do your thing and that's it? It's quite natural to you. Or do you find even with over time, you still haven't sort of got over that kind of, I suppose, you said obviously you're not that confident in yourself. So even now when you perform your songs singing wise, do you find that confidence like is there, or do you have to kind of, talk to yourself for an hour before going on just to...
You know what? It's like double. It's the strangest feeling. So leading up to a gig, the nerves are horrendous. It even makes me ill. Whether I'm doing spoken word, rap, or singing, like all of it makes me ill. It's the worst part about what I do is getting up in front of people. I'm quite anxious like that. But as soon as I'm up there, especially when it's singing and kind of rap and things, I just change. Like I feel like I'm supposed to be there in that moment. And I almost forget that there's people watching. I'm just having such a good time. But the build up to that, I'm like, oh, don't make me do it. I'm like, like the people on Ghost, where them little devil people dragging. Like,
Yeah.
And then I get on stage and I'm just like, yeah, like it's just a vibe. I love it. And I think people seem to bounce off it as well. But yeah, the nerves, I don't think I'll ever get over the confidence issues or the nerves, but I actually find it makes me care a lot more about how I perform on stage. It means I'm well rehearsed. Like by the time I go on stage, the muscle memory will carry me if I forget something anyway.
Yeah,
So,
I guess the nerves become part of the whole process as well, and the performance in itself then.
yeah. Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
As well as the stomach issues and all sorts of but yeah, I always say, oh, I hate it. And then I get off and I'm like, I want to go back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Like I just feel that feeling of freedom isn't matched by anything else in my world. Like it really isn't. I just love it and hate it at the same time.
Yeah, I always get that when going on stage. It's like I just want to, like, especially when you're waiting like 3 hours. Sound check is never on time. You're always like, that's pathetic. So you've got to wait that 2 hours. You're doing sound check while the crowd is coming in. So they see part of your performance and you're like, why can't I just stay on stage now, finish it, watch other people perform and just enjoy it? But then when you're on there, you're like, well, I don't want anyone else to perform. They can come on and perform with me because this
Yeah.
is my stage now. I'm enjoying this for the rest of the night, you know?
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling.
It is. It's
See,
kind. Yeah. Sorry,
oh,
go on. I was going to say it's a bit of an oxymoron because you're sitting there, like I'm the same as well. Like I'm anticipating going on, and I'm like, as you said, a little bit nervous and stuff. But then as soon as it's done, I'm like, oh, man, I wish that could go on for longer. You're almost like that went way too quick.
yeah.
And you just, as you said, you just want to get back on there. It's, but I actually think the nerves when it gets to a certain point it's a different type of nerves. It's not a negative nerves. It's more of a positive, it's almost excited, I suppose, nerves. And I think if you can just go with that rather than thinking I'm actually nervous about it being the
Channel
negative
it.
side. Yeah, that's it. Channeling it in a positive way. Because once, as you said, once you're on there, you're just like, oh man, this is where I need to be. And the buzz you get, like I always struggle to go to sleep after I've done an event. If it's in the evening, I go home and I'm just so buzzed. Like it takes me hours just to settle down. Like it's that much of a high. I don't know if you've ever experienced that.
I've got to have it almost like a debrief after
Yeah.
any type of gig, doesn't matter if it's spoken words or music, because if I go straight home and think I can get into bed, I ain't sleeping at all.
Yeah.
They're like it's going around your head. And then you get this weird, I mean, people who say they don't get this are probably lying, but you get this weird sense, and then you start going over it and going, oh, I was really shit. I
Mm.
messed up. It was hard, but they all hated it. They were just humouring me. Like those, what's the syndrome in it? You're terrible. You don't deserve any of this kind of thing. I like to have a debrief, so I'll either go if I can eat, because sometimes I can't eat because of all the adrenaline. I'll go
Yeah.
and get some, or I'll go to my mum and dad's if it's somewhere in Wrexham, or I'll go and have a really long chat and a brew with a mate, depending on where it is in the UK, because I know people in quite a lot of places, so it's always really handy. But yeah, it's just that adrenaline, I think it sticks with you for at least 2 days. You're just a bit discombobulated after the gig, I find. But then
Yeah.
you're like, I do it again. But then a week after, you're like, oh, I don't want to do it. It's
Mm.
weird.
And I can totally empathize with artists who are on the road all the time and stuff, and then having to go back to a normal life. You can totally get why they would get depressed and stuff, and why they would sink into little lower depths of, depression and things like that, because you are on such a high. Like it is like being on a drug, to be honest. It's if not more, sometimes it's more effective than a drug, to be honest. If you could bottle that and stick it in my arm, yeah, let's go. Joking. But no, honestly, like the high off it is incredible, man. And even after like an event, I always actually feel quite depressed the week, like about a few days after. Like, I feel really down, and I'm like, I really want to get back up there. So yeah, they can't come quick enough sometimes. So
Crash afterwards is weird. It's like you've just got full depression afterwards. You're like, what is this? You're watching telly, you're like, I hate my life.
But
yeah, man.
it's good. I find sometimes like you can channel that though, that like the after effects of that, you can then process it into your next piece of work and try and find a way to link it all together to kind of get out of it as well. Like if you're being a bit more like forward thinking and productive with the negativity, I find you can kind of lift yourself out of it a bit
That's
more.
a good idea, because people write from depressed states, don't they? And a lot of beautiful
Oh, I
music
do
is
a
created.
lot.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
beautiful music's created from there. So
it's weird because a lot of my stuff has come from pits of depression or trauma,
mm.
but that depression after the gig, I can't function. I'm just like, boo, it's blank space.
Flatline.
Depression, like the real one, I can write the best stuff I've ever done.
Yeah.
Strange.
So what is your process for writing and creating like from after that or before those feelings?
Oh, I think there's a few stages really. When I'm in the pits of despair, which can happen quite frequently with my depression, I always start with a conclusion. It's really bizarre. Anything I've ever done in my life, I always know where I'm going. So with essays, I've always started with conclusions. Same as my writing, I always know what I'm saying because I don't think you can know where you're going unless you know your destination. That sounds really corny, like love your job your love type stuff. But
Yeah.
so that's what I'll always start with. But for me, it's always like a little acorn somewhere. I'll hear a word or a sound, or I'll have a smell, and suddenly, like reams and reams and reams of things are coming to me. And like it sometimes like trauma surfaces up or other feelings, but it's about capturing that. And like what I try to do is that feeling at the time, because I've always had difficulty in describing how I feel. I try to put words to that. So if I was to describe how I felt at that moment, it's like, oh, it's spiky. What's spiky about it? And that's how I kind of feed my emotions into what I'm, I guess, trying to say.
That's
But yeah, so
interesting.
a lot of my stuff comes from that deep sadness and unhappiness. And I guess it's my way. It's definitely my way of coping. It always has been. I've never
Yeah.
really, I've been in therapy a while now, like a long time, and I still process my trauma and articulate better via words, lyricism, poetry, music. Like
So
there's
it's
just works.
yeah, so it's like writing your own prescription, really, healing yourself via the music and the artistry.
Yeah, I mean, it changes lives. Like I run workshops with young people, and you can walk into a class and like, oh, poetry, the typical things. I was the same when I was young. I was like, poetry, shit, writing poems, the day, you're like, oh yes, that's shit. And as long as you can like connect with people, what I found is that, like, say if I've got an hour session with youngers, by the end of it, they're like talking about things that they've never said in front of their friends and connecting in a way that they never thought was possible. And this one group of youngers that I was running a workshop with in a school further north from here, they even stayed into their lunch hour because they were so keen to talk and write more and things like that. And there was tears as well, but it was accepted. Like everybody was like, wow, like that's so empowering. So writing can really change the way your brain thinks about stuff, but that positive outlet is life changing for many people. It certainly was for me. I was going down a very bad path in my teens, and I think without that form of expression as well, it would have been so much worse.
100%. I think sound is a healer. People don't realize, the frequencies and all that sort of stuff as we get a little bit deeper on it. But, sound frequencies and how that can, people use that sort of stuff to heal. And,
Yeah.
emotions have their own frequency. Like your brain, your thoughts have their own frequency, their own vibrational frequency. So, I think,
Especially in a workshop space like that as well, when you've got like a support system there, you're expressing stuff and other people are expressing something like, oh wow, someone goes first, and like, oh wow, it's a safe space to share, and you can bring the creativeness out of you and bring your feelings out and help you in yourself as well, I think.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. And sounds can definitely help you process your emotions as well. So if I'm feeling particularly down or even particularly happy, I will play music that represents my emotions of that time. And sometimes I'll drag myself through emotions that, a lot of people don't want to experience and things like that. But music is the one way that I feel exactly what I need to feel. And it helps me cope with grief, sadness, depression, elation. Do you know what I mean? Difficulties. It helps me comprehend my situation. If I need to just really have a lot of space, I'll listen to ambient sounds. And that's it. Vocals, nothing like that. And these frequencies do alter the chemistry of your body.
100%.
They really do, and you can feel so much different. And that's why, like a lot of people say, if you're feeling really depressed, listen to happier music. Like, don't feed the depression. Whereas I do, I love that. I'm the queen of darkness. I'm like, yeah, cry more.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good and common thing. I do it quite a bit as well. Like I'll be happy, then I'll have a sad thought, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk off my tits, listening to groups like Andrew Jackson Jihad and Crywank and just all these crazy tracks, just going, yeah, this is fucking great. I love life. Just drinking away, just going, my depression is gone, but I'm crying anyway. Fuck it. And all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, you're like, yeah, I feel absolutely top of the fucking world,
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? But if I really want to feel like gratitude or something like that, say if I've had a really dark day, I'm like, right, I need to appreciate the world and life. I will watch dog videos and people doing stuff for other people.
Yeah.
Like I live for that shit. Like, when you're watching a video and someone's like, I don't like all this stuff with like people that live on the street and they're like, have a cracker, but let me film you. I don't like that stuff.
That's
Yeah.
just bullshit.
It's the
All that.
natural stuff that gets caught on camera, that sort of things, isn't it?
Yeah,
I love, yeah.
just like the little acts of kindness that go on every day. But now, because the world is so social media, you get to see that all the time. Like you can just
Yeah.
search, fill me up, I need it. And then obviously dogs, anything with dogs in it. I'm just like, you don't deserve dogs. I'm so grateful.
I've got a great YouTube channel for you then. There's a channel called Daily Dose of Internet. They collect a bunch of just little short form videos and stuff, but they got a second channel called Daily Dose of Pets.
Oh,
And
no.
it is straight up your street. You will love it.
Yeah.
I've sat there watching it for hours, just going, the doggies are cute.
Oh,
It's great.
I
to
mean,
get that link.
that's the sign of the times as well, isn't it? There's just not enough social media pages dedicated to nice stuff. You know, seeing the kindness, it makes the way social media has been set up, it makes you think the world's a lot more horrible than it actually is.
Yeah,
I think you'll
especially with
find
all
it.
this AI slop now as well.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that there's actually a lot of amazing, beautiful stuff happening all the time. People doing lots of acts of kindness and stuff, probably a lot more than the bad stuff, and you just don't get to see it. You just get pumped with all the bad stuff, you know, to make you feel a certain way.
That's how they make them. But there's that quote, isn't it? I can't remember it verbatim, but somebody says, like, when in crisis, look for the helpers. There is always helpers. So,
Mm,
and I try and attribute that to my life as well. Something bad is on the telly or on my phone, like, who is helping in this situation? Where are the helpers? Who is making the difference in the situation? It kind of like changes it a little bit for you. It's not so awful or traumatic. It's like, oh, there are people so kind that in these awful situations they're risking to help others.
hmm
So I really like that quote. I can't remember who said it and it fully, but it changed the way I thought about a lot of things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I mean,
Well,
obviously, yeah. Go on, mate.
I was going to say, well, like in saying that, you're a helper yourself. You know, you go out, you do these classes, and you speak about things. Like, how did you get into, that side of things, like less performance and more, putting yourself out there and trying to help other people.
That has always been who I am. I'll be honest. It's
Yeah.
not like I went out and purposely like, right, I'm going to help people today. Like one of my earliest memories is seeing children in poverty on the telly and just feeling just angry. And I wasn't really sure what I was feeling at the time. And I know now is my sense of anger and injustice and things like that. And I was like, I just need to help people. So that's essentially what I've always done. I've always, despite being a little bastard, a lot of the times, I did some awful things growing up. I was always one of those people that would help the elderly cross the road, get their shopping for them, go to the shop for them, things like that. I've always had that kind of, I guess, altruistic side. As soon as I was earning money in my teens, I was donating to charity and stuff. That has always been who I am. So it was natural. I always said if I had a platform or did well in life, I would use that privilege to support others. And, I don't post a lot of what I do online because I don't want to and don't need to. I don't need validation, gratitude.
Yeah.
But I've been in jobs where I've been making a lot of money in sales and things like that, and I felt empty. Like I was just like, I've got all this. Like, what is the point in privilege if you can't use it for something? Like, I'm from the Kaya myself. Not everybody gets the best start in life from that estate. I certainly wasn't born in.
Excuse me.
So now, I'm a director of a children's charity, things like that. I'll always help out with charity. Whenever I run a workshop, it's not just about the workshop. I'll donate a percentage of my fee, if sometimes all of my fee, to back into the organisation or organisation. I just feel it's really important and a responsibility as a human being to help others, and that's how I try to live in my daily life, on and off screen. And and I think there's too much of a premise on having to prove that you're almost like a giving, altruistic or charitable person, whereas I just never feel the need to. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to donate to that organisation today, and just, you don't need to post stuff like that. So for me, it was all natural. I've always been that way. It just coincides that I did well enough in this poetry and things like that, that I had a bit more of a voice in the public to see things and do things. So yeah, I can't say it was ever something that happened. It was just who I am as a person. Not that I'm like holier than thou, because quite clearly I've got a past, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I've probably used it for the benefit of others.
Well, I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's the human experience's baseline. To be honest, it's our baseline to be caring and giving and to help each other. But we get sidetracked through experiences, traumas that have happened to us, wrongdoings, things that obviously lead us down a path that we may not normally have followed had those things not happened. And I think a majority of people experience that, and that's why they get sort of, I suppose, lose yourself. You have to lose yourself to find yourself and to I don't know, it's getting a bit deep again, but you have to kind of go down these things to really sort of, even if it's in you from the beginning, sometimes you can lose your path and lose yourself, and then you have to go through certain things to sort of reconnect, I suppose, you know. But when you obviously said about uh, you know, doing the charity things and stuff. I mean, people that do that, I always think the people that go out there and they start screaming and shouting about it. I've always thought this person's got to be hiding something. That's what I always say. And obviously not yourself, but because you're not going out and screaming and shouting about it.
Yeah.
But I'm always a little bit like, you know, this person is
They're
overly
embezzling.
announcing. Yeah, they're overly announcing. They're so charitable, making sure they're always in the camera. Do you know what I mean? Showing that they're doing all these great things. I'm sure not everybody's like that, of course, but I'm always a little bit
You're a
yeah,
very cynical man.
suspicious. Yeah, I'm a bit suspicious of people who flaunt it. I think people who just do it without having to flaunt it, they don't need to go out there and tell everybody that they're doing it. They're the ones that obviously I've got a little bit more trust for. But again, I could be totally wrong. But that's my suspicious way of seeing it.
I've met people who, in the public or on social media, are these community-focused people, and they cared about this and that. And actually, behind closed doors, they're not nice people. They work hard to gatekeep. They say the horriblest things about people, and actually, it is a show. And I find that if you're a nice person, you don't need to scream. You're a nice person. People generally know. Word of mouth is dead powerful. So I would say it's your actions that you allow to speak us. So you can put whatever you like on Instagram. You can film yourself doing whatever you like, but actually it's the people in your life and around you and your actions that are going to be speaking the loudest. So I always say, how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah,
Like
100%.
Because we all die. And you know, we all have a funeral, and all of our families, doesn't matter how bad you are, they're going to speak nicely of you. They're going to shed a tear. And actually, how do you want strangers to define you once you're gone? How will they speak about you? And that's kind of something that's conscious to me. It's just like everything you do leaves a ripple. We're all pebbles here. Everything you do, every action, this conversation leaves a ripple. Like what kind of lasting impressions you want to leave. So for me, it's just like, I don't really care whether people know whether I do things or not. And I don't care how people perceive me online, like a lot of people do seem to care about. All I cared about is I wake daily and I just try to be the best version of myself. And I have people, you know, like a lot of people know me from my past, and, you know, I have been a tosser and I've got in trouble and things like that. But actually, I use that to be a better person as well and pay my dues. To, you know, I got dues to pay and I'm paying them.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Going back to the charities and foundations and stuff that you're involved in, could you talk a bit about those, what they're for, and well, just to give them a platform here so people are aware and they can go check it out and hopefully donate money themselves?
Yeah, definitely.
So one of them is called The Venture. So that is a playground in Kaya Park, where I'm from, the council estate, and it's somewhere I played as a kid, actually. And I had some of my best memories hail from playing on the swings, jumping off stuff, being terrified and going down the fireman's pole. But it's a place where children and young people can be educated, they can get food, because let's not forget some of the poorest wards in Wales are in Kaya Park. Here, and people like to kind of brush that under the table. So if it weren't for the venture, you know, a lot of kids wouldn't get any food. It's a place where parents can come and just kind of relax and know that their children are taken care of, but they can kind of learn new skills as well, offload things. So there's a multitude of things that the venture does, and I've been a director there now since 2018, so it's a few years now. We are always looking for funds, because, you know, grants change, of local authorities change what they fund you, but the demand on our services is becoming greater and greater. So more kids are looking to us for support, emotional support, food, and just a safe space to take positive risks as well. I think play is a fundamental right to children. Children who don't get to play have worse outcomes in life. They're less confident. They're more likely to go down paths that you know, aren't desirable. It's how you learn about who you are. It's how you build connections. And I guess understand experiences, risks, positive or negative. So that's why I will always big up the venture, and I ask anybody to donate, and I will always be. I'll probably be a trustee until I pop it. Like I just love that place. Yeah.
Amazing. I
Okay,
bet it
well,
gives.
we'll get a link up to that from you as well, so we can put on this post so people can go check it out, donate, and see the full benefits that can come from that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so obviously, you said you're involved in quite these charities and so forth, quite a few of these charities, and obviously big up for all that. It's an amazing thing to do. I mean, is that what you do as your main, um, as your job kind of thing, your day job, so to speak, or
I guess so. Like, not necessarily charity stuff, but yeah, mostly like workshops and things like that.
yeah,
I just do my day job. I also like manage and run events as well. So I manage a few festival things, and then people will get me to do some editing. So generally, my job is like very much varies, and I earn money from multiple streams because I've
yeah.
dipped my every pie I could possibly find.
Yeah, I mean that's the way to do it, I think, as a creative as well, to try to find all these different avenues. Because unfortunately, you can't make money really just from music anymore with all this onset of streaming platforms and AI and all the stuff that's being brought in. That you have to kind of find your way of making your income through various different means. But as I said, at the same time, giving back as well, which is always part of the process. And
And
on the
speaking of
subject,
which, I was
yeah,
going to say,
that's
oh,
it.
you were going to hit it.
I was,
Sorry,
mate, but
sorry
no,
to screw up your link. It was a
no,
smooth link.
ladies
I'm sorry,
first,
my
ladies
friend.
first, mate. Go on.
Well, that brings us quite nicely to the fact that you're also an author as well.
Mm.
You've got two poetry books and a lyric book that come out recently as well. Same as the album, link in bio. What made you want to publish your work?
Do you know what? I've always wanted to. I always said I'd write a book. So generally, I create a goal for myself, and I do it. So since I was a child, I just wanted to write a book. I didn't know obviously how that would look. And then the further I got into kind of like the spoken words, and then I started working for the BBC and things, it just kind of went from there. So I sent my manuscripts of all this poetry that I'd written over the years to kind of various publishers. And of course, is that no, thank you, kind of. And then I contacted Verve and I was like, oh, do you know, I've had enough. I was like, right, what do I need to do to be on your label? Like, what do you want from me? Like, can I send you a manuscript? And I'm like, okay, send us your manuscripts. And then I got a reply the next day saying, then has to be a book. And that was kind of how that came about. So my first book was released in 2019. And God, it feels so long ago now. It's like, how many years ago is that? It's like 6 years.
6 years ago,
Six-ish.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's madness,
Ridiculous.
isn't it?
Yeah. And I got to lodge that in Waterstones in Birmingham, which was just beyond anything I'd ever thought I'd achieve in life. I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, what am I doing like in here? So that's how that came about. But I always knew I'd author a book. I just didn't know what the book would be and how that would look. And obviously, being a poet, it ended up being a poetry collection.
hmm And how was the feedback
Excellent.
from it? What sort of what was the kickback from it? Did you get good, good people saying it was good, or what was what was
It's
the
called the
feedback?
word's called a review,
A
Cal.
review,
A
yeah.
good
What was the
review.
review? Sorry, mate. You wouldn't
Damn
think I
that,
was a
yes.
rapper, would you?
No, I get lost of words all the time, mate, honestly. Yeah, it did really well, and I got a lot of work and a lot of shows off the back of that as well. I've been quite
Amazing.
privileged that really well, but I think it helps as well that I did some of the poems in that book as well. I did videos for, so they went kind of like viral as well. So more people would see that video and go, "Oh, I want to know who that is," and then buy the book. And I kind of gig around pretty much everywhere with that book as well. So yeah, people that book in particular, Unspoken, was pretty much about all the things that kind of go on in society and that have happened to me that people will not talk about or do not want to because it's classed as taboo. So things like trigger warning, sexual assault, trigger warning, rape culture, mental health, suicides. There's a poem about me being sectioned in there and kind of like the really bad treatment that me and other patients received. So, there's stuff about Palestine in there as well. So it's just kind of all the stuff that everyone's like says in a little bit of a quiet voice. And yeah, I just came out the blocks just punching. Just, yeah, you're gonna hear it. This is happening. Open your ears and do something about it.
Yeah, like in my creative process, I've always try to be as honest and hit as many taboos as I could. Sometimes a lot in a darker sense where I can get a lot of shit for it, but I can always explain the reasons why, and a lot of it is tongue in cheek. But we've had private conversations before. You were a massive influence in me on my last project, actually putting out spoken word tracks on there as well. I've always wanted to do stuff about mental health and certain subjects. You say a taboo, especially with suicide rates in males and stuff like that. So I wanted to put it out there. I wanted to put myself out there, and I gotta say, like, hats off to you. Do you know what? In fact, I'm gonna fucking take my actual hat off to you. God damn it, throw it across the room. Honestly, you were a massive influence in me doing that and gave me so much confidence. And hopefully, if anybody's heard my stuff and it's helped them, then that's again, through the ladder down to you doing that, helping me personally, hearing that stuff. And, I just got to give you a little round of applause and props for that. Thank you very much.
Clearly, it was always in there, though. You just needed somebody to, I guess, believe in you or prompt you, I guess. But it's always been
I
there.
guess
But
so, yeah.
I'm glad that it's like pushed you to do it because you've got talent for it. So why not? And if it connects to people, and that's one of the things that I want to do the most is, I could do wordplay and sonnets all day if I wanted to, but I don't want to do that because I want to make experience accessible. But I also want it to be in a language that people can just hear and be like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to metaphorically discuss sexual assault because it's very real and very raw. So I am going to give it to you in a way that is digestible, but is like. But do you know what? A lot of people, probably similar to you, mate, is like have been in touch with me, especially after the release of my first book, saying I've been through this, or I don't feel alone now, or I didn't realize other people could experience and speak about this openly. It's helping me to engage with others. Another person said, my mum and dad both had cancer at the same time, and actually your books and kind of the way you do things in your videos helped me get through some of the darkest points in my life. And I think that for me, beyond anything, I don't really care about success, virality, money, and stuff like that. That for me is like means the most out of anything I do. When I know
Means it's all been worth it.
100%.
Like I always say, I want to make something beautiful from my pain, and that is the most beautiful thing I could have done with the experiences that I've had. And not everybody likes to hear about this stuff, and some people disagree with me being so raw and open, but at the end of the day, their comfort is not my issue. It's very uncomfortable to people that live that, and I'm sick of a society that forces people into silence. Like the suicide epidemic in men is just it's crushing me. Like
Staggering, absolutely staggering.
All the time. I have lost numerous friends to suicide. I just I've tried myself. Like I won't lie about that. And people say, "Oh, it's okay not to be okay," and blah blah blah. As soon as you mention something like that, people shut you down. They don't want to hear it. They're like, "Oh, don't do something stupid." Actually, there's nothing stupid about suicide. That decision is the hardest and bravest, dare I say it, decision that somebody can make. How dark have you got to feel inside that you feel that the best option in front of you is to end your existence when there's so many people that love you and you make such a difference to the world by existing? So for me, it's just like, you've got to be open, you've got to be speaking. And, there are many things that I'll go through that men may not go through. But that doesn't mean we don't talk about it and we don't support. And I think there's a big divide at the moment. I'm seeing women coming out about sexual assault or their depression, but then I'm also seeing going, oh, what about me? I'm a man and we're all dying and things like that. It's not a competition. We actually need to be there for each other. Like understand that issues affect women, these issues affect men, and actually we're all somehow responsible for it.
It's like if you're so concerned about, well, us men are doing it as well, then surely by that logic, you should have empathy that other people are going through it. It's not based on your genitals. It's based on the fucking chemistry in your head and what a person is going through, regardless of who they are.
And young people as well, there's been such an increase in younger people. I mean, a child or a teenager should not be thinking about suicide. And it just shows us the times we're living in and the world that we live in now, where the environment is creating
Mm.
these things. It's the
People are so
social,
susceptible
economic,
to
just whatever,
certain
you know.
things.
Yeah, it's just this is unprecedented. I mean, I speak to because of the job I do. I'm not going to talk about it, but the job I do, I speak to a lot of different people from all different, you know, walks of life, and I've noticed the increase in like autoimmune diseases, which are massively linked to emotions and stress and things like that, and trauma, mental
Yeah,
health
I was going to say
issues,
me
all
and
these
Evrah can put our hands up to
these
that
things have
straight away.
skyrocketed. I've been in the same job or same position for like 15 years, and I've noticed, and I get a first-hand experience of speaking to people in these circumstances, and I've noticed it how, you know, like fibromyalgia wasn't a condition that was so rife. ME, which
Yeah.
is obviously chronic fatigue syndrome, and all these other autoimmune diseases have just I would say probably 150% have gone up. Mental health issues, it is the signs of the times. It is something in the times that we live in now that is causing these things to happen, and we can get conspiratorial about it,
Well,
but we
it's
don't
not
need
it's
to.
not the
But
cause.
but
They've always been there. It's just now that they're more talked about and there's more focus and science behind like diagnosing and things like that. So
well,
you can
social
have a
media as
more
well, isn't it?
accurate.
Social media as well has brought a lot of more information, and people are able to spread that sort of information a lot more. But I've definitely noticed a big increase anyway. But anyway, yeah, carry on. Sorry.
I think the problem is that we're heavily divided, and there seems to be a big premise on gender at the moment, and I just don't understand. Like, if somebody's not hurting you, leave them alone. But I think, in terms of male suicide, I see it all the time. There's so much toxic masculinity online. You've got people like Andrew Tate, for
Mm,
instance. They thrive off vulnerable young men who are outside the circle, not included, or feel ostracized, or who are depressed, not feeling great about themselves. And if someone kind of feeds into that psyche and emotion, they're going to turn you against everybody else. Well, that's
mm,
why I'm depressed and things like that. And and suicide does affect males and females, but we cannot deny the facts that it's this patriarchy and toxic masculinity is killing men. It's killing men because a man should be able to sit there and say how he feels. He should be able to cry. He should be able to be vulnerable. He needs hugs, flowers, hands. Like, buy your boy mate flowers, give them
mm,
hugs, tell them you love them, because that might be the only time they get it. And like, the only time a lot of people, especially men, get flowers is at their bloody grave. And
mm,
I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't care, like, about all this, because we are being pitted against each other, especially via social media and the mass media. They are
mm,
purposely pitted against each other in terms of gender. And for me, I care about all people. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. At the end of the day, if that is plaguing, and especially a certain gender, like that, there's something needs to be done. Like, we need to be creating safe spaces. And you've got Andy's Man Club, which I just think is amazing. That is definitely saving lives, and we need more of that. But we also need more of that for women as well, who are burdened with the responsibility of care. From a very early age, you're told to be this way, not be adventurous, do your hair that way, blah, blah,
mm,
blah. And kind of to be a bit almost pedantic about what you said is in terms of, scientific research has kind of come on, and which is why people are getting diagnosed and talking about it. Well, actually, it's been proven that women who are subjected to repeated traumas and stress amongst their life will develop an autoimmune condition.
mm,
Now, you can have
Wow.
proclivity towards it, but actually, that continued stress causes inflammation in your body.
mm,
Eventually, it will turn the tide. And I very much believe that a lot of my autoimmune problems are from repeated trauma and
mm,
stress from my life. But then you go on social media and you're traumatized. You go on
mm,
TikTok and you're
Yeah.
traumatized. You're seeing stuff, and we're not desensitized at all. We're traumatized and we're shutting down, and it's
mm.
going inwards. And a lot more of us are going to become unwell, and it's a scary time because people talk so much on social media, or be kind, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm seeing them in comment sections or in their statuses saying the most ridiculous and awful things about people.
Mm.
So this is why when you ask me for the juice on certain people, I'm like, I'm a principled person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
no,
not
that's
gonna,
fair enough. Yeah,
you
that's
know what I
definitely
mean?
got to be like
It's
that.
like, yeah, so you don't know what someone's going through in life. Like,
Mm,
the first for my first album was about that. I took snippets from different interviews, and I said, we've lost respect. You don't know what someone's going through.
mm-hmm,
Stop putting them online. Stop attacking who they are. Blah blah blah. But I don't know. I think it takes for somebody to be in crisis before they realise what they've done and how that's impacted others as well. And I think I think if we all get up every day and just be like, "Do you know what? I'm just going to be kind. And if I can't be kind, shut your fucking mouth."
Yeah.
100%. And if everybody did that, man, if we were just kinder to each other and to ourselves, like the world, we'd be thriving. We wouldn't need anybody we wouldn't need governments. We wouldn't need politicians. We wouldn't need any of it because nobody would. We don't need anybody to come and save us, man. We're enough, but we've been programmed and conditioned to think that we're not. We're less than. As soon as you're born, you're told you're less than, or and then somewhere along the line, like it just all gets. No, sorry, I'll rephrase that. When you're born, you're perfect. You're this wonderful little baby, and then it just all gets lost, and it gets, traumatized, and the experiences you go through, and all the things, and as I said, you end up losing yourself, man. And it takes a long time, and it can take a long time, and it can take certain people never.
I mean, there's a whole nature nurture debate there that is going to be too long for us to go into. But yeah, I do agree. Yeah,
I tell you what, there's a great. I don't know if you've heard of him, Evrah, a guy called Gabor Mate. Have you heard of any of his stuff or his books? But I've read one of his books, but I think I've read it about 5 times now. It's called The Myth of Normal. And that talks about all this sort of stuff where how our emotions are so directly linked to health issues and, people's addictions and things like that, all linked to trauma and stuff that's happened to them in the past, whether that be big trauma like your abuse, your alcoholic father or being beaten or whatever, or it could be little trauma like just being neglected, just not being heard as a child, just not being given attention, all that sort of
so
stuff.
I've got to kind of disagree with you there on levels of trauma, like saying little and small, because what you think is a little classed as a little trauma to someone else could be the biggest thing.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't kind of go for that. I think trauma is trauma,
But I think you got different scales of it, hasn't you? Somebody who's been beaten or raped I would consider that as a bigger trauma than somebody just didn't get listened to as a child. But they're both can significantly impact your life and your life experiences and who you are as a person and your emotions and things like that. No, I'm not trying to downgrade it. Obviously, if to that child, whatever, or to that person, any level of trauma is going to be bad for you. It's not good for us. But
Yeah. They did brain scans and things like that on children, didn't they? And they proved that any sort of trauma or neglect as a child directly impacts your like hippocampus and stuff like that, and it shrinks. And it affects the way that you grow and are nurtured in life. So, when you think of, we talk about the postcode lottery or geography, actually, if there's a trauma lottery as well. Yeah. And it doesn't matter where you come from, but if you've had that trauma, you're already at the bottom of the ladder because it's altering your brain and the way that
and your decisions and everything, your whole life experience,
Yeah.
This is why, I get the whole levels to trauma, but like every trauma. So for like I guess like a 2-year-old, if they fall over and they've got parents like, "Oh my God, you okay?" Kisses any and stuff like that. That's comfort, that's reassurance. That child will grow from that point. If that child is ignored and the parents are like, "Oh, just get up." Now, most people are like, that's not trauma, but actually that's neglectful parenting. And that child doesn't grow in a sense of safety. They become more ambivalent to their caregivers. They become more anxious growing up, and they don't know how to socialize, effectively as we put in society. Of course, life is about these challenges and overcoming them. If you don't have the environment to even nurture you just when you bump your knee, how on earth are you supposed to handle big challenges in life? And this is why you often see people who have an escalating situation crumble because they've never had those.
100%.
So I'm
even
getting really
even stuff like ADHD and stuff they're saying is massively linked to people who've just basically had to zone out of a certain situation. That's what's brought on the ADHD and stuff. That's why there's such a big increase of that as well. That's another condition that's just absolutely skyrocketed, and kids are just getting pumped full of drugs and things like that. And it's just like, no, let's just actually see what the cause root of this. Let's talk about this child's life experiences and find out from their parents, look at their home. And there's so much to it that you just get, no, it's a condition, it's a disease. Let's just give them a load of drugs and just send them on their way. I know we're getting a bit of on the digression here on the subject, but I think all this stuff is important. It's important. It's all encompassing. And it brings us round to actually, This was all planned, by the way. Yeah, it brings us to a
Of
nice
course it
little
was, yeah.
segue. All
Yeah,
scripted. All
our
scripted.
usual listeners will believe that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Brings us round to your album, because
Yeah.
you talk about so many different subjects in that album, and there's a lot of obviously a lot of deep and quite dark subjects, to be fair. So you said that album was written over a certain period of time, or was it that you'd written some of the stuff more closer to when they'd happened, but you just never really put them into song form? How was that? How was the kind of the creation of that? Or was it the case that no, you wanted to do an album and then you sat down, you thought about the subjects, and then you wrote it at the time? Or was it that a case of, right, no, you experienced something, you wrote it down, put it to one side, and then later on that was plugged out and put into the album? Yeah, I'd be interested to know that.
It didn't start as an album. It started as a couple of tracks that I recorded in the studio, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to make an album. I feel like so many things were coming to my head and so many different ideas, and a lot of it didn't make the album. That it just, I felt like there was a project in there, but I never, these things I haven't written just after they've happened and things like that. Because for me, some of the stuff that I talk about has taken a number of years to kind of, I guess, come to terms with, contextualize. And that's why it's called Link in Bio. It's kind of a play on the Instagram thing, but actually it was, the person I am today is very much linked to all of these experiences, especially the early childhood ones and some of the other things that happened in my teens and going into adulthood. So for me, it was never meant to be an album, but it became an album, as so many projects do. You start working on something, you're like, actually, I've got this idea. And, at one point I was just writing tracks every single day. And, there could have been another 20 tracks on that album. But you have to be, I guess, disciplined and understand that not every track is to be released. Just because you make a track doesn't mean you put it out there, kind of thing. So it took a bit of time to kind of understand what I was trying to say. But actually, the final song that landed on that album that actually really tied it all together was Whole Lives. And I like being a bit of a storyteller and things. I like kind of like setting the scene. And I like foreshadow type stuff. So that for me, it was just, that came accidentally. I was sitting in the living room and I heard a beat on YouTube. And then I was like, because we got our whole lives. And I was like, whoa, hang on. I just did this chorus. And I was like, whoa, something's got to cover that. And the lyrics just fell out very naturally for that. And
that just gave me goosepimples then, by the way. I love that song. I really do. It's an amazing song. My kids love it as well. So yeah, great track.
And it's like, and people say a lot about stuff on the album is sad and stuff like that. For me, Whole Lives is the saddest song on that album, because for me, it's like, you've got all this, you're like, oh, we've got whole lives to do it. Don't worry, like, oh, these things are bad right now, but look at us, we're only 5 and 6 years old. We've got forever, yeah. And then you realise, I'm 37 now, at 37, that you've still not overcome a lot of your trauma. And actually, it didn't just stop there. It continued multiple times. And for me, it's a really sad song, but like, it's also like dedicated to my sister as well, because we are just, there's nothing separating us ever. Like, it doesn't matter if we fall out, it doesn't matter what people try, like, we are glue. There's nothing breaking our bond. And I think, like, the reason why we've been able to grow and become the adults we have is because we always had each other as well. We know we've got that person to lean on. Like, she's the person I speak to every day. I see most days. She's the person I want to tell good news to. And I've got friends and things, yeah, but like, there's nothing like that connection of somebody who's one half of you, because she truly. So for me, that is the saddest song on the album. But I don't know, there's something about it, I feel, but I do like making sad songs with like upbeat beats as well. I like the of that. I like reading people in and then them listening and going, oh, that's a bit sad, actually. You know what I mean? Vibe it. Yeah. Like, I fooled you. Do you know what I mean? But then there's like 9 Acres, for instance, where I just had to tell the story. I didn't want overproduction on that. I didn't want too many harmonies or anything. I just wanted to tell the story on that. And that
was the one about, was it Ben Stalker or something, was it? Is that the one?
It was something that happened to me when I was 15, and then afterwards they continued to stalk me and harass me as well. And unfortunately, as many men do, he got away with it. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I mean, I don't even think it's 5% of rapes get convictions, mate. That's welcome to the world of women. This is your first time, you know what I mean? But it's just like, Yeah, so that was instrumental in actually changing the chemistry of my brain and who I was as a person. The PTSD made me very violent, very paranoid. I developed schizophrenia. I
Wow.
started a lot. I was getting in trouble. You know, I was arrested every bloody week. I was going to prison. I had no handle on myself. I was put on antipsychotics. Like it was like a brick wall. Like nobody could get through. I was just traumatized, angry, just you couldn't like I had a problem with the word rape and the word bitch, and if you dare say those two things at me or in front of me, I would knock your head off, like literally knock your head out. I was just traumatized, and I feel guilty for a lot of the things I did back then whilst I was traumatized. And I can say, yeah, I did have PTSD. I was suffering with psychosis and things, but you've got to take responsibility as well. And I guess I didn't at one point. So that's what 9 Acres was for. It was like me finally in my 30s going, I can speak about this now. It has changed me and it has defined me as a person, but actually a lot of good and power has come from my life as a result of
Yeah.
that. So
You redefined yourself. You redefined the definition.
Sometimes you
yeah,
got to break to rebuild, man. You got to break entirely
yeah.
to be able to rebuild. Rebuild new. That's what being rebuilt, reborn, I suppose, is about.
And
I mean, was that quite difficult for you to have to revisit some of
yeah,
those traumatic times, just to, obviously for the purpose of writing the songs and stuff? Because I find, I mean, it took me years to write about my dad, because I had a bit of an abusive sort of childhood and stuff, and when he passed away, it took me a long time to be able to actually sit down and write a song about him, and then to be able to, and it took me even longer to actually be able to get to perform it and to actually put it down as a song. So did you find that quite difficult in for yourself as well?
yeah. Like when so 9 Acres was never a track I sat down to write. It came out accidentally. Again, I've heard a beat and I was like, it just came out. Like sometimes things just capture me and it just kind of falls out. So it was never a track that was meant to be written. It just was, and it needed to be on the album. But when I was recording it and doing the vocals, I could feel the tightening in my throat. I could feel that I was trying not to break.
Mm,
When it was being played back to me in the studio, I sat down and I could just feel everything inside me, wanting to leave the room, wanting to cry,
mm,
wanting to. I could feel that intense anger that comes out of me as well with it. And I was like, no, like swallow it, hear what you have to say. Like at the end of the day, it's your story. This is empowerment right now. What I'm doing, I'm empowering myself and speaking openly because people don't get the opportunity to do that.
hmm
But in terms of performing it, not really performed it yet for obvious reasons, but I do think it'll break me when I do. But that's the power of music. That's when you connect the most with people, when you feel every word that you say.
And it can actually be quite healing as well for you to kind of get it out and express it. 'Cause sometimes, just writing it down is one part of it, but then to have to actually say it, to express how you felt at the time is just another element to it. As I said, it can be quite a cathartic and healing process in itself. Um,
Right.
So, I mean, obviously, after this project, have you got anything else planned? Are you looking to do another album? Are you touring this album at the moment? What's your plans now for the future?
Well, I've done a bit of a tour over the UK this year, and I've done bits of the album and the bits of Define Hope, my book. I've kind of gelled them too as well because I just want to mix them both. Why not?
Yeah, yeah,
So I will probably not continue to promote this album nor tour
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Um, because I'm petty. And but I am reworking the entire album with a band, and it will sound completely different and
Oh,
before
wow.
Nice.
entirely with a band. So that's good. And then I'm going to look at making some new stuff as a band outfit, mixing kind of like hip hop, spoken word, and things like. And do a bit more singing, which I really don't know what I'm doing. And then I do have like a secret, which I can't tell anybody at the moment, but I will be working with somebody else as a duo, and it's going to be dead good because like we're like disliked by so many people.
Yeah.
I'd like to hit you up and do those 10 question things with you at some point. It should be about the same length as this, two Zoom videos, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm up for that. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
as you obviously said, you've got a little secret, but you don't have to tell us any more. where can people find your stuff? And you said you're not doing any more touring or anything, so are you still going to be doing the spoken word stuff? And again, do you tour with that as well as the? You do. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so I'm already taking bookings for next year. So I've got a few for next year already for the spoken word. So I'll probably dot around the UK again, tour that around the UK. And then I'm going to be doing stuff with, don't know whether I'm allowed to talk about this yet, Shelter Cymru, where we'll do a number of events to raise money for that as well. But if you want to buy stuff, don't go on Spotify because it's a piece of shit. And I don't want my music on there. But the best place to find me is Bandcamp. You can get access to my music, my CDs, because I do physical merch as well, and my books. So
Yes.
all the artists go to Bandcamp because actually we earn a bit of money out of that. So yeah.
Amazing.
I've heard of what are they called? What's the other format? SoundCloud. I hear they're giving 100% to their artists soon. Any artist on there,
really?
you get 100% of the money. Yeah, that's happening soon.
Well, I took all
Okay.
my music down from Spotify the other week. I've just taken it all down. I thought, look, I know in the reality of it, they're all shady. Google, YouTube,
Yeah.
these organizations are all shady. But yeah, if you don't stand up for something, you kneel down for everything, didn't you? Basically, so
Right now, when I'm looking at removing all of my stuff from streaming sites and going back to physical traditional ways. If you want my music, you're gonna have to come to me to get it. Like nobody's owning music anymore because they're making money off of us, mate.
100%.
It's money from us, and we get peanuts from streaming. But actually, somewhere like Bandcamp or physical merch and stuff like that, that's direct to the artist. That can go towards studio time and all sorts.
Exactly.
Like without grassroots artists, you don't have a music scene.
100%.
Exactly. And do you know what? I was saying to my missus today as well. I was saying with all the thing of AI, I think it's a bit of a fear thing. I actually think that we're going to be okay. I think people always going to want tangible things. Young people are getting into records and buying sort of CDs and things now. So I think it's going to go the other way. I think they think it's going to ruin the music industry, but I think we're going to grow and we're going to get better and stronger and we're going to thrive. That's what I feel. I think it's going to have the total opposite effect. So, but anyway, it's been absolutely amazing. I wish we could obviously chat all day, and sorry it took so long to get you on, but it's been an absolute pleasure. And absolutely honoured to speak to you, actually, because you're an amazing human being. You're doing amazing things. Keep doing what you're doing. And as I said, it'd be great to have you come down this way as well.
Well, one quick question. Sorry, before we
Yeah.
go, you said you've got a few bookings and stuff. Where can people actually book you? Is it a site or an email that they can get in contact with you?
You know what? You can use my email, which I give you permission to put on your YouTube. But you can get me on Facebook, Instagram. Even via my Bandcamp, you can send me a message. There's loads of ways that you can get all to my website as well, which is www.everrosepoetry.co.uk. You can get access to everything on there as well, and you can join my mail list or send me a message. There's loads of ways that you can contact me. Most people generally either do via my website or via Facebook, but I'll always respond.
Amazing. Big love. Have a lovely Sunday for what's left of it. And really appreciate you obviously taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you so much.
Much love.
I appreciate it. It's really nice when people ask you onto things, so thank you.
No worries at all. It's been a pleasure.